Welcome to Movies with Super Friends with me, your host, Billy Pollihan. I am here today on the pilot episode to talk about Superman and the Mole Men. And it is the first live-action DC film. It is more or less a pilot to the adventures of Superman. But I'm also here with a very special first guest, Mr. TJ Dexter from the MovieSquad. How are you doing, bud?
What's going on, everybody? Glad to be here. It's going pretty good. No, I enjoyed that a lot, by the way, just to get off the bat.
All right. So what we are going to do is go over the production history of it, like how did this get made. We're going to talk about the movie and the characters in the movie, this version of the characters in the movie, because with a character like Superman, he's been done like a ton, and you know, there are a lot of different versions of it. And then just if we liked it or if we didn't. And a lot of these we are going to like. And for sure, I know a lot of them we are not going to like. But that'll be later down the line. So anyway, Superman and the Mole Men was the first feature film based on a DC character. There were two live-action multiple characters serials from Columbia based on the Superman comics and the radio program. And that was Kirk Alyn as Superman, who was the first live-action one, and Noel Neill as Lois Lane. And they had been shown weekly installments in movie theaters, like all classic serials. And it was not just comic books. It was like Westerns, science fiction, all the stuff. It was a great time to watch movies back then.
Yeah.
But they also had one about Batman, and that was Lewis Wilson as Batman and Douglas Croft as Robin. And
really?
Yeah, there were actually two Batman ones, and then there was the second one featuring Robert Lowry as Batman and Johnny Duncan as Robin. And they were Dick Grayson Robin.
And how do you? It's weird that you don't hear about that, really, unless you look it up. Like, you only hear about Adam West and the other guy.
Yeah, they were not super popular because a lot of it is very dated. Some of Superman is very dated, but yeah, this version, we are talking about the George Reeves version.
Defender of truth, justice, and the American way.
And George Reeves, he was a pretty awesome Superman. I mean, granted, he had to wear a muscle suit because a lot of guys back then were heavy smokers. So they did not have the best physiques. But he was very charming. He was from the South, so he was very well-mannered and just a pretty good guy. And he took his role very seriously. He never smoked in front of kids. He eventually quit, which was great because of the character. And yeah, this was his big introduction to the world that would be Superman, The Adventures of Superman. This film was filmed in a little more than 12 days on a studio backlot, and it's only 58 minutes long. So it's just a good pilot for his episode. Did cut out some stuff, like some of the chase scenes, and no reference to the actual mole men. They became the unknown people.
Yeah, notice that.
Yeah, and the music is very sci-fi, like something like out of The Day the Earth Stood Still.
It has like those like high pitch, yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, and the title cards and the animation were also very, very generic.
Yes.
But yeah, it was the laser weapons of the mole men, which they retrieved from their home in order to defend themselves and rescue the other mole men, which it was a prop made by adding metal shoulder braces to one end of an Electrolux vacuum cleaner body. And for the ray gun's gun barrel, it was a standard metal funnel that was attached to the other. So it's just pieces of metal attached to a vacuum cleaner.
That is so awesome, though, because you know what? If they did this today, they would overdo it so much. Like when those three little people came up out of that hole with that gun. One, I was like, okay, they're ready for business. They're in for it now. And two, it was like, that's awesome thinking about this time. You got to think that director was just like, you know what? Looking around, he's like, all right, vacuum, boom. All right, if we take this and just spray this and make this little metal, like,
To be fair, it was 1951.
that's
So
perfect.
we were right in the B movie age.
Yeah. But regardless, even if it was B movie, like I don't want to jump ahead or anything, but like the things that they did in this was really, really cool, especially for that time. Like,
Yeah, like the actual mole men, they weren't like bald and had like the hair around it. That was a wig.
oh yeah.
Yeah, they were just like they were little people actors and
What? Okay, I was gonna say, were they
yeah,
kids?
they found them. No, they were not kids. They
Okay.
they were adults. And
Sorry.
it's all good.
One of them looked like a kid, so I thought, because when they first came
No, I
up,
thought they were kids too. I thought they were
I
kids. Too.
thought one was a kid and one was an adult. And I was like, okay, it's smart, that's clever.
The basic plot of this is that these people are drilling into the earth, you know, for like oil and stuff. And they drill a little too deep and they enter the home of the mole people. Now, Superman as Clark Kent and Lois Lane, played by Phyllis Coates.
She was pretty good too.
Yeah, not bad. Not Noelle Neal, good, but she was not bad. Makes a good sassy Lois. They're there to investigate, you know, the drilling, and you know Clark Kent. They find that they're like, oh, the mole people are attacking. Of course, you know what he does. Goes into an alley, rips the shirt off, and he is Superman, and nobody is none the wiser. Even though Lois Lane at one point goes like, you know, you are always gone when these things are happening. And I'm like, gee, Lois, you might have. Maybe they're the same person. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, like when they do what you're saying, the opening credits and how like simple it was so awesome because they have the voiceover talking about Superman, like his background story and what happened in Krypton and stuff like that. And they show you George Reeves, which is a stud of a gentleman.
He was a good dude. He was a good looking
Classic
dude.
Superman pose, and they do the Clark Kent like fade in. And okay, Henry Cavill, amazing Superman. But when they just put glasses on him, I was like, okay, it's Superman with glasses on. That George Reeves Clark Kent Superman thing that he does, I can see why everyone was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's the same guy. Like they definitely were two different people. George Reeves,
just like Christopher Reeve, is very, very different. Like Clark Kent is more reserved, and he mostly keeps to himself. He's not like a bumbling klutz like Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, this one was like more like more. I don't want to compare to obviously like because just from what I've known from my upbringing, he was more detective wise like Batman, where like when he's sitting there with the cop in the room after the death of the one gentleman, he's like you know I'm here too, right? You can tell me now. And the guy's like, what do you mean? And he like gets him like cerebrally. I'm like, yo, George Reeves is nailing that Clark Kent like reporter, like just that investigative reporter.
Yeah, eventually they would give that over to Lois because in the back then, you know, women were they were treated very differently than they are. A lot of stereotypes, unfortunately. Yes. And a lot of like, you know, you would expect Lois Lane, and she gets a little bit of it in this, but you know, Clark Kent is he is acting as a reporter, and you never actually see him be a reporter outside of like, you know, typing and stuff. Columns. Everything goes to Lois Lane because she's the smart one. She's the one that will dig to find the story. And to give some context to what you were talking about, a guy sees the mole men. He's an older gentleman. He suffers a heart attack from the shock, and he dies. And they're like, "Oh, what could have killed him? It might have been these guys." And they're like, "No, he died of he might have died of a heart attack, but it's too early to tell." But Superman comes in and he does this pose a lot. I noticed that very quickly. He does that a lot. Yeah. He's trying to find these mole people to just bring them back home, or you know, all along the way, you know, there's an angry mob and there's this one dick. I forget his name, but he's a jerk, and there's one in every town.
Oh, yeah.
And Superman comes in, he's like, hey guys, I get you're a little scared because these guys are, they're alien to them. It's like finding imagine if we found like people living underground. And they're also radioactive. Forgot to mention that.
Irradium.
Irradium is
don't know anything about it, but I bet my science teacher would say it's bad.
No, is very toxic, and they're very radioactive.
Yeah.
So you don't want to really touch them. And Superman's just like, hey guys, this is your fault. And hijinks ensue. Superman saves some people, including Lois Lane, and he's very good at being assertive and being like, okay, you do this, you do this, you do that.
Yeah.
Very much. And
you get like
he's confident.
Oh, he's so confident. You get like these awesome scenes with him doing like things like that, where he's like sitting there as Superman, and it's weird because like you pick this, and I'm watching this one scene where Superman's blocking everyone from getting into either the hospital or the hotel that they were staying at or something, and one of them uses okay. First of all, for these townspeople, they're so quick to want to murder somebody. Like, even when Superman's like, stop. And the first thing to do is shoot him. And he does the whole bulletproof thing, bends the gun. Then they go to punch him. You're like, okay, no. Then, like, in this one scene, which is super like today, where Superman, one of them shoots at something and it almost hits Lois. And he's like, Lois, go inside. And he's like, you guys aren't responsible with your guns. I'm going to take all your guns away. And they just unload on Superman. I was like, wow, that's actually like, that's today. Like, everyone's so irresponsible with their guns. Like, imagine if Superman was like, you know what? You guys are. I'm taking all your guns away. Like, there'd be uproar.
He's invulnerable to bullets unless it's like kryptonite. But kryptonite has not been invented in
that weird
series.
Little commentary and, like, seeing it in 51 to now, I'm like, holy crap, man, that's pretty crazy. Like, you aren't responsible with your guns. You almost killed a woman. Like, you shouldn't have them. It's because this movie, and it's weird that you say, I didn't realize it was a movie. I thought it was a show, like a TV show movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's basically what it is. It's just an extended pilot, except you don't see like the origin of Superman or anything. No. He's just Superman. You just get a quick narration.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's what it was. His backstory was just so iconic. Even back then, you didn't really need to show it.
Because I was say, like, even in the beginning, obviously they don't say DC because that didn't come up until Detective Comics came up, but it had amazing stories, and then it had Superman magazine, not Superman comics or anything. And like in the opening credits, I'm like, that's so cool because he had his own thing. Like, there wasn't any connected universe at all. It was just Superman. Like,
they weren't all bought out by DC yet. Yes. DC was like Batman, Detective Comics.
Yes,
that's where it comes from, and. Yeah. They were all their own thing, like Captain Marvel, Shazam. He was from Fawcett.
Like, they all had their own thing.
They all were different companies, but they all got absorbed by DC. Same thing with like certain companies with Marvel. It was either Marvel or DC. It was those two. I mean, now we got Image and Dark Horse, and we got other companies. But back then, it was mainly just short-lived companies.
Yeah.
That unfortunately would not survive for very long. They would be absorbed by DC.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom.
Hello, friend. Warmo here. I'm making an unboxing video. This is something I also spent birthday money on. And it's a t-shirt. And then here's the shirt. Don't mess with Mavis. It's from Odd Shape Channel. They have a cat named Mavis. Just like I have a cat named Mavis, we both have. And they just moved to Austin, Texas. So they made that shirt. It's like, they have shirts that say, don't mess with Texas. This one says, don't mess with Mavis. And I really like that shirt. And
let's talk about the characters. Superman is a very hard character to write. He's invulnerable. He's got basically every superpower that you can think of. He's got like flight, vulnerability. He's got heat vision. Like, he's very hard to write.
Yes.
What did you think about George Reeves' portrayal in this movie?
I'm sitting there watching this movie, and you hear all the time now, like, how can you do? I love Man of Steel. Nothing get it. Henry Cavill's amazing, but it's like weird. People are like, how can you do Superman today? And I don't know if you can better than Man of Steel, because it had the aspects of like today's human nature and the whole nine. But if you could just make it a by itself film in the 50s again and make it serialized, almost Indiana Jones, I can't believe how much I fell in love with George Reeves' Superman in that small. I never watched anything George Reeves. I knew that he was Superman before that because Christopher Reeves is his father, the whole nine.
He was. They were not related.
They weren't related?
No, Christopher Reeve and then George Reeves.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
it confused me for a long time. I thought they were related.
I assumed they're father and son, and this was like a passing of the torch thing.
I wish that'd be awesome. But no, they were two very different.
So everything I just said, take that out. But I'm saying, like, George Reeves in that serialized, like the 50s, like being that guy in the all khaki suit with the fedora hat and the glasses, and like not dorky, kind of suave, and like definitely like detective reporter wise, and then also playing off this just obvious god on camera where it's crazy because I didn't know that was a muscle suit. I thought that was legit.
Yeah,
I thought
it was a muscle suit.
Perfect. It looked like his body because I was like, dude, he looks like a god amongst men. Like, he looks huge, and it worked perfectly. Like George Reeves with his chin to his eyes, to like the different ways he looked when he was Clark Kent to Superman. He's up there, man. That's crazy. In that one, because I want to watch more of these now. I don't know if they did more, but I thought this was a TV show. Didn't know it was a movie.
You can watch the TV show if you want. It's very fun.
Okay, it's George Reeves, Christopher Reeve.
Yeah,
nailed it. All right, so yeah, Superman. I think the Superman I think people need to shoot for is a more like, why not embrace the cat stuck in a tree thing and like kind of do like, I feel like they're gonna do that with Shazam. Like, what is a 12-year-old kid gonna do with superpowers other than like you see a poster for a kitten lost? Like, why not fly up in the air, use your vision, and find that kitten? Like, I think that's the way to go, Superman. I know they're probably gonna do that with Shazam now, and it'd be really awesome to see him and Henry Cavill as Superman coexist and like talk to each other, which I think that might happen. But George Reeves, I'm going on a tangent now, nailed it as Superman.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you think about Phyllis Coates as Lois Lane?
I was gonna say, like, for her, and like you were saying before, she definitely plays like the regular, your feminine character and stuff like that. But there was like parts and times where she's sitting there trying to like grill the sheriff, I think it is. And he's like, you just want to make a story out of something. And she's like, if I want to make a story out of something, I'd make it a story. How do you know Clark's not doing that right now? And she was just like real hard-headed. It was cool to see. Like, I know they definitely like took times where like Superman's like, get in the building, I got this. But they definitely tried to have her have a stronger presence in this. And I liked it. I didn't think she did a bad job at all.
Yeah, the thing about Lois Lane is, yeah, she is a damsel, but that's because it's her fault, because she's chasing the story. She does not care who it is. It could be Lex Luthor, it could be Metallo. It doesn't matter. She's going to dig for that story.
And another thing too, like,
she has an attitude. She does not take shit from anybody.
She does an attitude. Like, she even gives Clark some ish in this when he's like doing things. She's like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" And he's like this, and she's like, "I don't know, man. Like, I think you're like." She has no problem questioning the men in the scenes, which is super awesome, especially in the 50s. Every woman you see sees the mole men and does the scream. She has that scream. Like, why not use it here and there? But other than that, she definitely, as of all the characters in the show, which are all these weird, strong men, were like, we're gonna kill this thing and we're gonna do it. Like, it's awesome to have that off note of her questioning everything, which I'm glad they did, instead of just making her the damsel in distress, which you would expect.
Yeah, and I I did not really like any of the other characters aside from the Mole Men. I mean, the Mole Men are just they're there. One of them is literally played by one of the Munchkins from Wizard of Oz.
Oh wow!
Which I found that out. And the one I did not like was the sheriff. Dude was a total coward.
No,
like,
yeah.
He didn't know what he was doing. He was like bumbling. Like, I don't know what you want me to do.
I feel like that's like your basic like small town sheriff, like who just kind of sits back and he's like, well, I have that hard-headed guy in the town who just wants to kill things. Got him. Or the Superman. I'm just gonna sit back and relax.
Like he's like, I don't know if we should let Superman do it. It's like, of course you want Superman to do it. Why would you not? The dude's an indestructible alien.
Yeah.
Who's on the side of good and probably knows what's best. Like, why would you not do that?
And like you kind of nailed like the moment. Like, why you don't need much from them. You drilled 32,000 feet into the core of the earth. You went to their city. One, how are they getting up 32,000 feet that fast? Like that one went down, got two others one, and got the laser gun up there real fast. How are they doing that? Two, like it's a really cool thing that we went. They're using that as like a weird commentary. Like we went to their environment and then we brought them back up and we attacked them first. But now we're starting war because now they're coming back up with a weapon and they're going after the dude. The town guy who wants to kill everything, not the sheriff, but the other guy. There's like they look exactly the same too, and they start killing him. Superman gets in the way, and like he does the whole Superman thing, and then helps him down. So he just wants the the sign language, the cradling, and then the flying thing that the mole people do for Superman.
Yeah, it's very very easy. You understand it very fast. It's like you don't understand English. It's yeah, you of course would sign it, and I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. So like the mole people were like the perfect thing. When I saw the title for the episode you sent me, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be like some weird like 50s like Elephant Man style. I think they didn't do anything too crazy. They did like I thought it was just like a sweatsuit, but I guess that was a fursuit. They're supposed to have like mole bodies.
Yeah, it was just like sweater. It was like turtlenecks. They probably sweated their butts off in that stuff. And it was like, you put a cap on them.
Yeah.
A wig cap.
They had the Lord of the Ring Hobbit feet.
Yeah, and you put a little bit of makeup on the face, and then there you go. That's all you need to do. Make them a little bit mole-like.
Yeah. But it's crazy. I was, like, character-wise, like, the mole men weren't the villains. It was the people in the town. Like, those were the villains.
Yeah, it's the same thing, like, it kind of reminded me of the same scenario on Kong Skull Island. They came and they went into their turf and they messed with their home. They're just defending it. That's what we do. Like if somebody came into our house, we would defend it, and we're completely justified because they had no business drilling into the earth.
No, and like they weren't even like coming up to do anything. They came up, they looked in a couple windows. They scared a guy to death. They played catch with a little girl with a ball.
Yeah, they were just curious. They were like, okay, who are these guys?
They did the whole like Charlie Chaplin and the other guy scene on the silent scene on the bridge where they're running back and forth, the spotlight.
Right. That was great. The old Buster Keaton style.
Just like the one sound they make was like it kind of scared me because they was like when he got. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, one of them gets shot and goes to the hospital. And one of them, they tried to burn another one alive. Luckily, he gets out underneath a floorboard.
My goodness. You got to think about, okay, also think about like the racial undertones of this too. When Superman brings the mole man to the hospital, the doctor is like, why would you bring this type of person here? Like, why would you ever do that? And then even just like the burning of the shed, like, oh my goodness, like those type of things are like, holy shit. Like they were thinking when they wrote this fucking thing. Like,
I mean, granted, there's no black people or anything. Like everybody's white. Like everyone's white. But
like this is like
literally the black and white.
Alabama, maybe.
The black is in Superman's hair because he had black hair.
Yeah. They tried, but
and that was just the times.
Yeah.
Like, that was just how it was. Unfortunately, we've progressed a lot since then, but
getting like weird little, those weird, not weird, but those storylines and plots and that, and you're picking them up now in 2018. This is 1951. You're just like, okay, wow.
it
Like,
could have been a lot. It could be a lot worse. You know, 'cause
absolutely.
a lot about today. It could be like back then, when you didn't have that voice.
Yes.
And yeah, so just overall, what do you think? Just yay or nay?
I give this like an 7 out of 10. Like, it's crazy. I wish I was telling you I liked black and white TV growing up. I watched Lassie, watched Early Brady. I watched like all those things my parents watched growing up, Munsters, the whole nine. Adam West Batman and the whole all that. I wish I would have known about this show and the Adventures of Superman. I'm gonna dive into George Reeve a little bit and kind of like just really get into it and see what I can find of his Superman, because that Superman, I feel like, that's what they should strive for. I get the whole Christopher Reeves thing and like going for that Superman. He did his own thing, but something about this time and this style and with the way they did Superman, obviously you got to change some things up, but I enjoyed it a lot, and I really want to dive more into this, and I'm glad you brought it to my attention.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend this if you're just interested to see how all this began. It's a very, very simple story. It's not long at all. It's just it's a little under an hour.
Yeah, it flies.
That's what's also great about it. It flies. It's not like you got 2.5 hours, and if it was really bad, then that would be very bad. But yeah, it's very simple, and if you don't like it, that's okay. But I liked it. It's a yes for me.
Absolutely. It's got great production value for being from the 50s. It's got that classic, like, you see where Mighty Mouse gets its like voice intro and the intro. You see where a lot of these like superhero intros come from. And I kind of hope that Shazam takes a page out of this, and maybe like Sandberg looked into that and was like, you know what? That would be fun. Let's serialize and make it a lot of fun.
It's the golden age for a reason. Also, George Reeves' Superman, there is a crossover with I Love Lucy. He appears in a couple episodes of I Love Lucy. What? Like, yeah, when
Lucy.
Oh yeah, she gets saved by Superman, and it's in color as well. So that's where you get the you can definitely see the muscle suit in color.
Lucy, you let Superman save you? Oh, that was bad. Sorry, everybody. That was bad.
Yeah, I'm sorry, spirit of Desi Arnaz. But yeah, this was the first episode. Hopefully you guys liked it. Hopefully this all worked, because I am still figuring out how to, all the text. I'm trying to figure out all the tech. Hopefully you like the way we just talk about these DC properties, and I'm going to have a rotating thing of guests. And the next one, we could technically go with an 18-minute short film that the government produced. It's also very easy to find. It's called Stamp Day for Superman. It also stars George Reeves.
Ooh.
But since it's only 18 minutes, we're just going to go with the next one, which is the 66 Batman.
Nice.
Based on the television series. Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. That one. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know who I'm going to get.
That's awesome.
But that is going to be the next episode if this does well. So
it's going to do well. It was a lot of fun, dude.
Or in lightest day and darkest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light. Boom.